Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask Keri to go ahead and unmute yourself and show yourself on camera. I know that you are not used to using Zoom. You use Microsoft Teams all the time at work. So if you look down at that bottom navigation bar, you can start your video and unmute yourself. So hopefully, Keri, we didn't test that earlier on the call, but you will locate that quickly. Oh, I see you found the unmute. So thank you.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for dealing with us.
Well, go ahead and unmute, show yourself on camera as well, Keri, if you don't mind. And while you're finding those controls, let me just introduce Mark and Keri. So I actually met Keri over the summer. I took my daughter to a self-defense class at our local uh, sheriff's office. My daughter is 13 years old, and I really felt as though it were super important to have her learn self-defense tactics. So after the class, I asked her if she would come on and do a webinar for us because we take so many things for granted in our life, and we all need little reminders here and there, including myself. And as travel agents, we're always traveling globally. We're looking at news sites. We're managing our groups, and sometimes we're not aware of our surroundings. So Keri has over 10 years experience as a self-defense instructor. She is a civilian member of local law enforcement and created a very successful women's self-defense program, which is what I attended. She's working on her first degree black belt in Kung Fu and also is an avid global traveler. And Mark is a retired deputy sheriff with over 30 years of experience. Most of his career was spent as a school resource officer, primarily serving students with emotional and mental health issues. And he has over 15 years of martial arts experience in two styles, which I will let him pronounce. I could not pronounce them. And both of our presenters are also adjunct professors at the University of Florida. So Keri, if you want to stop sharing your screen so we can see your beautiful faces,
Okay.
that would be wonderful.
There we go.
And I'm going to just go ahead and let you guys take it away.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. We are so excited for the opportunity. As you can see, we're in a nice, cozy kitchen here, and welcome, welcome, welcome. You're going to learn so much today. So, as Sheila said, my name is Keri Higby, and I am very passionate about self-defense.
My name is Mark Simpson, and again, like she said, I have number of years of martial arts experience in Taekwondo, Shorin-Ryu, and also Krav Maga. And I'm a firm believer in you have to be able to recognize situations. This webinar is more going to be common sense, but it's going to be stuff that people don't look at. So we need to be a little more aware of our surroundings, our decision making, and preparedness to act if necessary.
Mhm. So, before we get into all the information we have to share with you, let's think about the word self-defense. I know before I became an instructor, the term self-defense to me said, "Oh, that means automatically fighting. That means maybe a martial arts style or weapons." But I'm going to break it down, or we're going to break it down for you. Self-defense is actually 90% mental preparedness. Only 10% is physical if you need to protect yourself. So, meaning if you've got a plan in action in your head and you think about all the what ifs, that's what you're likely to do and exercise before it even gets physical. There's so many things out there that we can utilize if we listen to our sixth sense, for instance, using our voices. Again, the concept of self defense really goes back to just that Situational awareness. Are we aware of what's going on around us? We're all busy. We have extremely fast-paced lives anymore, especially when you're traveling. So we're going to help you with some of the things today about increasing that situational awareness and being mentally prepared, maximizing your safety potential everywhere you go every day.
You
We're
know,
going to cover.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was really surprised when I attended the class, how much of this was really self awareness. And I know
Mhm.
that we're not going to be able to cover a lot of the hands-on tactics that we did in the class, but we hope to
Right.
develop a series and maybe come to the sheriff's department and film there to show everybody. But I'm a small woman. I'm only 5 foot tall. And I was really shocked that I could get out of the holds with some of your stronger men, these
Yes.
sheriff's officers, these guys who were trained in fighting. And so, between the awareness piece and the few little tactics that you can use, I was absolutely floored. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys take it away. I didn't want to
No,
interrupt, but I wanted to point that out.
there's so many things to get excited about, and I appreciate that, Sheila. I'm 5'3" on a good day, okay? And I I always think about, what if this person is bigger than me? What am I gonna do? Well, Mark and I are gonna tell you that it's not about how big you are, how fast you are, how strong you are. It's about technique, but we'll get into more of that in a little while.
Thank you.
Some of the things that we want to touch on today is going to be awareness, aware of your surroundings, aware of your situations. We're also going to get into decision making and risk reduction, because a lot of people, when they are confronted with a situation, they freeze.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer, and I tell our students at the University of Central Florida that when emotions kick in, the brain shuts off.
Yes.
You don't think. An example of that, just think about the last time you had a fight with a loved one or a significant other, and after it was all over, you turn around and go, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that, or I shouldn't have said that. It's because you were talking through emotion and not thinking.
Mhm.
So that's very important. Other things we want to talk about are locations and surroundings, preparedness, actions and reductions. And last of all, we're going to bring up a couple of little improvised weapons
Good stuff.
that you have on your person or could have on your person to help you protect yourself.
Mhm. That's really the fun part. You've got more tools than you realize. So let's talk about awareness. What does this mean? You hear the terminology all the time out there, situational awareness. Well, okay, yes, I'm aware. Yes, I'm cognizant of what's going on around me, but it's okay if you feel uncomfortable to question that situation. I think we've all been in scenarios that something seems a little off. It doesn't mean that somebody's going to attack me necessarily, but something is definitely wrong here. So, what are your options? You've got to constantly think about that what if. And that doesn't mean that you're paranoid, it means that you're extra aware of what's happening around you. And then thinking, like Mark said, about, okay, what are my options now? So, let's give you some examples, some real world examples of what that means. What is what ifing?
Okay, when we talk about what ifing, it's something that you do every day.
Yes.
Okay, when you're driving a car, you're looking around, everybody's heard the term keep your head on a swivel. And that, well, when you're driving, you're looking around. And even though you might not consciously be thinking about it, you are aware, like if that car in front of me slams on its brakes, do I have enough room to stop without hitting it?
Mhm.
Or do I have some place I can turn left or right to avoid crashing? You do this all the time. So it's not something that people don't know how to do. They just don't think about doing it.
Mhm.
there's other situations where if you say, what if I go into a restaurant and something happens? What are you going to do? Or if someone's following you, what are you going to do? There are so many different situations, but you have to make a decision, which leads us into the next thing we want to cover, reference awareness. Decision making. Are you going to stay? Are you going to leave? So, all these different things people do every day, but they're just not aware of it.
You become so complacent in your day-to-day lives. And one of the examples I love to give is going up to an ATM. I know a lot of people still use ATMs, whether they're walk up or drive through. And I really hate doing that. So, what we tell our students and people that we teach is, you know what? Do an alternative plan, whether you get cash back or you go into the bank and spend a little extra time that you probably don't have. It's a safer alternative than standing there or driving there getting cash when somebody could actually be watching you. And we don't mean that they're going to attack you necessarily, but they're watching to see, okay, how much money are you getting out? What's the next move? Are you an easy target in situations like that? Again, because we're so busy, we need to maximize our awareness, head on a swivel, looking around. And I know a lot of this is going to seem like common sense, but again, if you think about it, you're more likely to react and do something to protect yourself, even in those mundane situations.
Going back to the ATM, think about your habits there. When you get the money out, do you sit there and count it before you leave the ATM? Okay,
Bad choice.
that's not a bright choice because they already know that you have money.
Mhm.
They don't care how much if they need money. So don't count your money there. Put it away, leave the area, get back in your car, go back with your group. Also, too, I know everybody thinks about, well, let me get some money and you got to protect your password and that. Hey, if you're with a group, have them come up to the ATM with you. There's safety in numbers.
Mhm.
So you have to really think about this stuff.
So, Keri, I just wanted to say, most of these people are very well traveled, and there are specific actions that they take in their business and in their travels. And
Sure.
so, I think just getting very pointed about some of the reminders and awareness. So, what is applicable to them in terms of awareness when you're in a new country, when you are extracting money from ATMs, deciding on a course of action. So, what are some of those courses of action that they can take when they're in a new place? And then I know you're going to go ahead and get into the risk reduction with a lot of the improvised weapons, the making
Right.
noise. However, keep in mind one is who our audience is and their experience level, and then also giving some of those very clear examples of
Mhm.
how to get, what does that mean on how to get to a safe location? What are those safe locations?
Sure. And I would say, again, I know that your audience is definitely very well traveled and done things a million times. So, one of the things you can do is do your research before you go, whether that's domestically, internationally. You really want to know the area, map out what you're going to do, where you're going to be. Whether that's going to be, again, this is for travel, it could be just the hotel, the distance to maybe a local law enforcement, consulates, for instance. This is more domestically, but kind of knowing those safe locations to go to. Where's the closest hospital? Where's the closest, let's see, what else?
Police station.
Police stations, right? So again, kind of knowing that might be something that you don't think about because, okay, travel, fun, meetings, all these things, but you're not thinking kind of more safety, like, okay, where are those safe locations that I could go to should something occur?
Okay, as far as the risk reduction goes, is say you are at the ATM and you're getting money. Okay, look around. If you feel uncomfortable, is there an area where there's other people,
Mhm.
better population? So you want to be able to get with other people. If you're coming out um, from a business and you look around and you get that feeling, turn around and go back in. Don't stand there and try to make, go back in. Then you have time to think about a decision and a course of action. These things are, if someone comes up to you, make noise, draw attention to yourself, get other people looking.
Don't be afraid.
And see what it is. Your voice is probably one of your best weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if someone's coming up, use distance. Go back into the building. If there's nobody around, start walking away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Try to keep an idea or a distance from them. How do you know where they are? If there's parked cars, look in the windows. Windows are mirrors. You can see the person. Okay, these are all different things. If all of a sudden you realize, like, hey, they're coming up a little bit too fast, confront them, turn around, use your voice, put your hands up, get away, leave me alone. Okay, draw that attention. And then what we will go through towards the end of this is, what weapons do you have on your body to be able to defend yourself with if they still keep coming?
Yeah. Let's bring it back, though, to some things, again, that you can do. So everyone's familiar with the STEP program. That's the Smart Travel Enrollment Program. And right now, I'm not sure if everybody knows that there is a worldwide advisory for U.S. citizens everywhere. And again, we know the conflicts that are happening in Israel right now, unfortunately. So those are the things, again, that you're going to do before you step out there and have fun. You want to make sure you know exactly that you're going to be protected, safe. You're going to let family and friends know where you are. So again, that research is very, very key. And again, knowing even down to the, okay, I'm on this street, the hotel is here, mapping out exactly where you're going to physically be putting yourself really at all times. And that also goes for domestically. Again, we've got our plans. We kind of just check out sometimes, go to work, go into the grocery store, but you need to map it out mentally. Live your life, enjoy, but know that, okay, if plan A doesn't work, I'm going to plan B. I've got those options.
When you're going like international, make sure not only that I can contact the consulate, know how to contact a consulate. Passports. I'm sure you're all familiar with passports, but you also probably know that if you lose your passport, it's a hassle.
Big time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So make a photocopy of your passport that has the passport number, because that's one of the most important things. Also, know the hotel and offices you're going to go. It could be the same building. You have a hotel with a conference room, but in other places you may end up staying in a hotel and going to different office. Make sure you know what's between those 2 points. Okay, your concierge at your hotels can be a great information source.
Great resource there. They're local, they know.
And also,
I was going to suggest, Keri, that it's difficult for us as travel advisors to know where every single consulate, police station is, safe house, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So if you're staying at a hotel where there is a concierge, have that concierge, map it out for you. Particularly if you're a travel advisor and you are traveling with a group. Those are some pretty key points that you'll want to have. So we need to figure, we have to consider the practicality of having, these resources at our fingertips, and then also using a common sense approach along the way. So maybe you can touch on that a little bit more as well.
Sure. And I'm going to jump right into maybe an uncomfortable situation, because we always think worst case scenario sometimes. And that's good when it helps you and you know what to do. So I think a lot of the times when people are traveling abroad or in a unfamiliar area, they're thinking about the potential threats. So we've listed a couple of these threats. And of course, the top of the list is going to be terrorist attack. What if I'm involved in a terrorist attack? kidnappings, human trafficking. That is something that a lot of people will tell us, oh, no, I'm too smart. I'm not going to get approached to be trafficked. But you'd be surprised. Things are out there. People have their ways to be very, very, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Influential. And also, too, something that you might want to consider thinking about is, okay, I'm in a location. Does that mean that maybe there's a riot? What is the political situation? Are there demonstrations like in France a number of years ago? So you can't always plan for those things. You can think about the what ifing again.
Yeah. And again, the concierge will be able to tell you, yeah, we've had this stuff, we've had that stuff. One of the other things reference these examples of threats is think about how you present yourself. Okay, are you going to want to walk down a street and you're wearing 24 karat gold earrings and necklaces and big diamond rings and whatnot? No, save that for when it's appropriate, to go out to, say, a party or whatever. But don't advertise the wealth you have. And that even if it's only one or two items. And that because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a target. And by doing that, you're going to set yourself up as prey. Now, the other thing, too, is a lot of it is how you carry yourself.
Yes, very much so.
Okay? If you're walking around and you're looking all the way around and you act nervous, and that's not going to do any good, because they go, oh, okay, wait a minute, they're scared. And so if you're going to walk down, walk with confidence, and keep your head up, your shoulders back. And
I hear this all the time. I hear this all the time, Mark. I actually have a client and her sister is always looking around and she's not walking with purpose. And walking with purpose is incredibly important, not only at home, but it's also important when we're traveling. And so one of the things that I teach my daughter when we travel abroad is to definitely walk with purpose. Even if you don't know where you're going, walk with purpose and be confident. And confidence and awareness are really key. And I have changed my habits at home, Keri. I want you to know. I have absolutely changed a lot of my habits, especially as it pertains to my phone. But here's the other dead giveaway, and I don't know how we address this. And this comes to the walking part is, we see a lot of travelers overseas who are using Google Maps on their phone as they're walking through their destinations. So, and it's really important for us. It gives us great guidance as well. So, are there certain tricks that we should be doing? Maybe using earbuds, maybe stepping into a store to really map out our route. What are some of those things that we take for granted? We do it every day in our life and we don't think that there are people around us watching us.
Yes.
Well, one thing you got to remember too is if you're looking down at your phone all the time, you're not looking around.
Yep.
So it's very simple. You can glance, get your head back up, look around, glance again, and you're not staring at it. Now, if you really have to take a long look at your phone, stop and put your back against a building or a wall so they can't get around. Now, I don't really argue about somebody having their phone in the hand because a phone's a great weapon. And
we're going to show you that too.
But you're going to have to, but like I said, you can't just stare at it and walk. And because just look at YouTube on how many people walk into a fountain because they're staring at their phone.
Or walk out into traffic and just get so into that phone. We see it all the time. And I used to be guilty. I've also changed my habits because I got busted here too. It is a digital leash. It's just something that we are so involved in. I've got to check my messages. I've got to check emails. What do I do? Well, like Mark said, think about where you're going to use this device. If you can back yourself up against a wall of a building or go into a lobby somewhere, do all that there, get out into the streets and then enjoy in safety.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry,
I
Mark.
was just going to say one last thing. A lot of people don't want to look at strangers. Okay, they're walking down, they see somebody looking, and they look away real quick.
Mhm.
Instead of doing that, look at them and smile.
Let them know that you
Or,
know they're
hey,
there.
hi, how you doing?
Mhm.
And just keep walking. Because the whole thing is that if you look back at them, then all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, they can identify me.
Ah,
I do this in my own front yard. If I see a car coming up my street, I look right at the driver and I wave. And if they're up to no good, they definitely don't want to come back because now there's somebody there that can identify them.
Mhm.
And then you let their paranoia, oh, did he get my tag number? Did he get to make my car? And that stuff. So don't be afraid to look at somebody and smile and wave and just keep on walking.
Mhm.
that's a really good point, is acknowledging their existence. And I'm sure you guys have seen many cases in the sheriff's department over your years
Yes.
of situations that relate to not being able to identify folks, or
Mhm.
trends that you see with attackers out on the street. So before we move into the defensive weapons, I just wanted to kind of summarize some of the preparedness. In the US, you gave me a whole list of this, doing your research before you travel, knowing the hotels, the offices where you'll be conducting business. This, you didn't touch on this, but this has been a trend in Europe, but using hotel suggested transportation, or transportation that you guys are booking through vetted transportation providers, because I have been hearing stories about Uber type services where customers are using them and there's organized crime around that. They're not dumping you
Right.
at the right spot, or there is, a criminal on the other end of the driver and robbing you. So be mindful of that.
Mhm.
Um, and that's part of the abroad researching before you travel, knowing where your consulates are. Consider registering with the State Department before we travel. Again, hotels, use of transportation, and law enforcement stations, hospitals, mapping some of that out, particularly if you guys are leading groups. You want to have a plan of action in place in every destination where you are taking your groups, and being mindful about the surroundings, not just for yourself, but for everyone traveling in your party. And of course, unless you were in a hole last year, then being aware of even industry events and covering your drink. Okay. Being aware of folks who are all converging from all parts of the world into these industry events. Do not put your guard down. Do not rest on your laurels there. Using cash over cards, but carrying it in a safe place, not wandering alone. I have no fear when it comes to traveling abroad. So I like wandering and getting lost.
Yes,
And
I do
I'm
too.
sure many people, and I know, Keri, you travel a
Yeah.
lot too. So,
Yeah.
being very mindful about where you're wandering alone.
Mhm.
These are all really good reminders. And I know it seems really, really elementary, but we forget it in our daily life. We forget to implement these practices. So, this is all part of the preparedness and awareness as you are living your daily life and you are traveling. And I was shocked to know we have so many improvised weapons that we carry with us
Oh my goodness.
every
Yeah.
Yes.
single day. It was so shocking. So I'm going to let you go ahead and dive into some of those improvised weapons. And if you have the ability to, give a little demonstration, feel free to do
Love
so.
to. We would love to. We have props, everybody. So this is something that's very, very exciting because when we teach this to our students or to people like Sheila, you automatically think weapons. Okay, I need a gun, I need a knife, I need something. Those are traditional types of weapons, and it's not that they're wrong to carry. They need a little more, I think, preparedness with that. But improvised weapons, you've got them on you every single day. For instance,
Okay, you're talking about your phone. You always have your phone. Phones, if you pick up your phone, they're heavy. But the thing is, can you imagine somebody taking their phone and hitting you at the bridge of the nose?
Devastating.
Or can you take your phone and swing it and hit them with the corner in the side? Okay, these are all types of weapons that you can use. Your phone is one that's always in your hand, pretty much.
Yes.
And that, so you always have a weapon. The other thing, if you wear glasses, okay, take your glasses off. Take the,
we're gonna break it.
take the earpiece off and just snap it off. These things are usually small, they're metal, they will go into the human body.
Think about this going into somebody's eye, their nasal cavity to the throat, or if you can't think quick enough to do that, fold the glasses up and it becomes a stabbing device or mechanism. It's wonderful to do that. And again, when your life is at risk, you'd be surprised what you're able to do. That might seem gross, or I'm not a violent person. I'm not a violent person either, but I'll tell you what, if somebody makes a poor life decision and decides to get in between me and my freedom, my happiness, my life, shame on them, because guess what? This is coming for you.
The one thing we tell our students, because I always ask them who wants to learn how to kick somebody's butt, and that you get hands up there, and I just say, okay, well, you're sadists, and that how many people don't want to hurt anybody? You get hands up. I say, okay, you're prey. The middle ground is, I don't want to hurt you, but I will if I have to.
There's the key.
And this has to be your mental standard. No, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to fight. But if I have to, I am, and I'm going to fight to win. Now, other common elements that you have on you. How many people carry a pen? Okay. I would suggest, and it doesn't even have to be an expensive one like a cross pen or that, but buy a metal pen. Metal pens are great stabbing instruments. Okay, metal pencils are great stabbing instruments.
You'll get through TSA with these things, so.
Yeah, because it's a pen and pencil, it's not a weapon.
Yep.
Okay, other things we have, jewelry.
Yes.
Okay.
Got a couple of examples here. So you probably can't see it, but again, how many people out there wear a comb like this? You're not going to see it, but boy, it is sharp. It is metal. And if you can see that, again, to the throat, raking the face, and it's right here and very, very convenient for me to get to.
Also, other jewelry. This right here, it could be a brooch that you want to put on. For men, you get one with an American flag or your company logo, put it on your suit through your lapel button hole, and that. But the whole thing is you pull the top off, you have 4 inches of stainless steel. 4 inches of stainless steel will reach every bone in the body. Okay, so this is really deadly. And I don't know if anybody's ever done it. I've done it because I'm a hobbyist. But I have actually stuck pieces of metal into my fingers and hit the bone. It hurts. I mean, because what you're trying to do is inflict pain.
Yes.
Okay.
So those are the functional things, but I'm sure people still carry traditional keys. And we talked about this, Sheila. So if you decide that this is going to be your weapon of choice, wonderful. I think we were taught wrong a long time ago to stick these keys in between our knuckles like Wolverine. No way. Think about it. When you go to hit a hard surface, you're going to get hurt. And this is not going to be a functional stabbing device. So if you choose a key, put it between your thumb and your forefinger, and now you've got all this maneuverability with this single key. Again, this is my key ring. I've got a lot of stuff on here. This could be a swinging device, for instance, but keys are kind of my go-to. But think about that again. If you're ever going to use a key, it's going to be carried this way, you stab.
Also, you have, this is called a kubaton. It's a self-defense weapon. Keri has one that's a little more pointed. You can get one of these and it's very easy to use. The only thing is have to know where to hit. Okay, your body has various points that you can strike. Up here on the shoulder is called the brachial complex. It's a nerve bundle. Hitting it hard enough will actually deaden the arm. Underneath the nose.
That's a good one.
And anybody that has been dealing with maybe autistic children or has a former career as a teacher knows if someone bites you, all you have to do is put your hand up and push up on their nose and it's going to open their mouth. But these are little things that you can research and do, and hopefully we'll be able to show you this in a future webinar. But it's important to know where to do this stuff. And it's not complicated, but it's very easily mastered. And I'm going to go back to one more thing. Think of your mamas. I had a mama that loved, when I was bad, grab the old ear and go. Okay? I mean, I'm surprised my earlobe isn't down to my shoulder as many times as she's grabbed it. But there's a pressure point under there. That's why it hurts so much. So you can start doing that.
The other thing,
so Keri, real quick, first of all, everybody wants to know the name of that tool, and I want to know if it's TSA approved, if you know or not.
Oh, not
okay.
No.
It's not TSA approved for carry-on.
Okay.
Checked language. Yep.
For checked. And what is it called? Can you spell it?
Sure. It's Kubaton. Kubaton. So just like a baton, but put KU in front of it. Kubaton, a Kubaton. There's all kinds of stuff out there. I'm sure people are going to Amazon right now. They've got all kinds of stuff. It's a very light alloy metal. And again, I carry this in my day-to-day. But here's the thing with weapons, Sheila, that anybody needs to know this. A weapon is great, but you need to be able to grab it and have it out. So don't be digging in your briefcase, your purse, your backpack. It has to be out in your hand, ready to use. So you can't say to somebody, hold on, let's stop this fight. Let's stop this attack. Let me get my weapon. Now I'm prepared. It's got to be ready to go in your hand.
Say pepper spray is very common.
Very.
I don't know how many students, where is it? Oh, it's in my glove box. Or it's at the bottom of my backpack.
So a lot of people, just to your point though, a lot of people don't have these implements readily available to them. And you talked to us in this class about a distance and a lot of those things that we could do. Whether it's, do we run? Do we face them? If they here, we have a question coming in, if somebody pulls a gun on you. So what are some of those things that we should be doing if we are confronted, and let's say there is no public building to run into? You gave a lot of really useful tips in the class. So could you just cover 3 or 4 of those for our audience today?
Sure.
Running is always your best option. But the thing is, do not run backwards if they're coming at you face to face. You got to turn around and run. So all they see is your heels and your butt running away. Okay. And the whole time you're doing that, you are screaming your head off.
Yeah, you're not going quietly. Again, you're making use of your voice because you want to be able to breathe and draw attention to yourself.
Most people, when they run or get in a panic situation, they quit breathing.
Yep, you hold
They
your
hold
breath.
their breath. And you can't do that, because if you hold your breath, you lose muscle and speed. So by yelling, that's why you hear law enforcement, if they're taking somebody down, they're constantly yelling directions and everything else. Not only do they want the person to comply, but they're also breathing.
Yep.
And that's important. The other thing, if you go up and say you're in a parking garage and somebody is, that you think they're following you, okay, if it has a ramp, don't go up the ramp, because most of the time you're going to get boxed in. Go to an area that you can maneuver around the cars. And the whole time you're thinking, okay, what can I do? Well, guess what? There are cars out there still with the metal antennas. Grab one and break it off. It doesn't matter if it's not your car. That is a devastating weapon. Okay. Also, this gives you time to get your pepper spray out of the bottom of your purse. Also, you might want to think about dumping your purse while you're running. Because if they're interested in money, the only thing they're going to go after is the wallet.
So a couple other human reactions. If you want to run, that's going to be a personal choice. It's not right or wrong. It's what you can do safely. The other thing is you could submit. You could submit to your advantage. So for instance, if somebody were to grab you and you pretended to flop down and faint, well, now you're on the ground. Now you've got two weapons on you, and that's your legs. You can absolutely start to kick to try to get out of that situation if it goes physical. So we've got the run, we've got the submitting. You could choose to fight. And again, personal choice here. What we don't want anybody to do out of anybody we've ever taught is to freeze and just give up and not know that you've got options. Will you get hurt? Yes. Could you die? Yes. But you know what? You're going to commit to your life, to your safety, to your family, and think, okay, I can get out of this. And if not, I'm going to give it 100% to fight to get out of a situation that's going to potentially take your life. Uncomfortable stuff to talk about. But again, you've got to think, what can I do? What is the best option?
So
If
let me
I
ask you, if somebody pulls a gun on you, as someone had mentioned in the comments, what are your recommendations?
If someone pulls a gun, comply
Yep.
with them. They want your money, give them the money. They want your car keys, give them the car keys.
Yep.
The only time you're going to say no is if they tell you to get in a car. Because if you get in that car, I guarantee you we're probably going to find your body in a cornfield.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So if you're going to die, at least die right there. That's all you can say. And that because they're not interested in saving you.
No.
If they're going to shoot you, they're going to shoot you.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. We do teach gun safety, but the whole problem is you have to have the person holding the gun up on you within arm's reach.
So we can show you how to do get out of a situation like that. But again, when it comes to a weapon, even if it were a knife that close, comply. People want their stuff. And remember, criminals out there are not A, smart, and B, really skilled with these weapons. They are meant to be intimidation things. So again, give them the stuff. You hopefully will be safe.
That's why you got insurance. That's why you put in police reports and everything else. If I can go back to the TSA real quick, I have carried my Kubaton in my check-on baggage. And then when I get to where I'm going, I'll pull it out. The same thing goes with pocket knives.
We just happen to have a couple examples here.
So you can have these. I never go any place without a pocket knife.
Yeah.
And I put them on my check-on. And why? Because, push comes to shove, I got my pens and that on the airplane. But the other thing is you have to look. When we were researching this, I found out that this knife right here, because the blade locks in place, is actually illegal in Great Britain. You cannot have a locking pocket knife in Great Britain. Now, if you buy a Swiss Army knife, you can carry it.
Well, so
Because
that's
the
a good
thing
point is before we advocate that anybody start carrying knives with them overseas,
well, no,
they need to
that's
be
always their
aware.
choice.
Yeah, they need
Yep.
to be aware of the local laws, but it, you
Yes.
know, domestically, if you have something like this, before we run out of time, and I want to leave a couple of minutes for some questions because I know we talked, you know, we covered a lot in the session that I had with you, Keri, that I think that we didn't touch on here, and that really relates to the awareness piece. So,
Sure.
you know, there are some things that we should particularly pay attention to that were reminders for me, and I felt will be important takeaways for everybody on the call is when you're in a parking lot, let's say you're grocery shopping, you know, take advantage of that person at Publix who will take you out to your car and put your groceries in your
Mhm.
trunk for you. Be
Yes.
aware of people who are just sitting in their car but are near you. And this applies to traveling overseas as well. You know, if you see somebody that does not look right, who is sitting in a vehicle near where you are heading to, pause and think about it for a minute or prepare yourself before, you know, jumping into your car that's parked by or passing by. Something that I freaks me out are vans.
Yes.
Vans have
Yes.
always freaked me out. So if I have a van parked next to me on my side, you had mentioned going in through the other side or avoiding. I don't remember your exact thing. I just
Mhm.
avoid vans because it kind of
I
freaks
knew
me out. Also realizing that you can go back into a store and have somebody walk you out to your car or
that.
express your concern to get down to the latest the metro or
Yeah.
whatever, meeting up with your guide, your traveling companion. So uh, when you really are aware of your surroundings, the weapons don't need to come into play because you're making
Right.
smart decisions ahead of time. And
Yes.
so having apps on your phone that track you for your family, knowing where the local police stations are, your consulate, things of that nature. So, did I forget anything about the awareness piece and the distance, creating distance between somebody? Because I know you can't get into some of the physical teachings
Mhm.
on this webinar, but the creation of distance is so vital. And you gave some stats at the webinar or at
Mhm.
the class that I took with
Right.
you about how awareness will deter a, you know, huge percentage of these instances that you'll encounter along the way.
Right. And thank you again, Sheila. Those are great points. The number one thing too, besides the awareness piece, is like Mark said earlier, it's how you carry yourself. You need to be assertive and confident. That doesn't mean arrogant and cocky. That just means, again, you're making that eye contact, you're getting from A to B confidently, assertively, if you have to. Your voice is going to be such a deterrent and a big, big tool in self-defense. So I think that's really good. Observation, like we said, the decision making, and then committing to a decision that you make. If you decide to fight, 110%. If you decide to run, same thing, 110%. Know that you're going to get through this. You're going to survive. You've got those options.
You have different,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, Mark. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, just real quick, there's one other object that people usually have with them, and I don't care if it's a full size umbrella or if it's even one of the little ones. These are not, if you're going to use this to protect yourself, these are not clubs. You don't want to try to hit them with it.
Yeah.
These are stabbing in things. You actually go for the chest. And that, because one, if you get something moving, they're not expecting you to come in. So umbrellas
Expecting you to do
are
this.
great.
Yep.
Well,
Um,
they are great, and most, I would say a lot of times we don't necessarily have them, but we do have things like our phone. We have bags, we have backpacks that could be used to strike or as a shield. We do have glasses, we have
Yes,
pens,
right.
we have keys and credit cards. You didn't touch before I want to finish the list because I'm looking at your notes that you provided to me, but I want you to tell
Yes.
me how we use a credit card. Metal
Oh
nail
my goodness.
files. A lot of us travel with nail files, so we could make a
Yes.
habit of having that, the brooches and the belts. But how do the
Mhm.
credit cards work?
Credit card is actually very thin, and you could actually hold it in your finger
Mhm.
the long ways, so you have the thin edge sticking out. It will cut somebody,
Okay.
and
And
that
where
with
should
enough
they go for
force.
a strike if needed? What's the best place?
Yeah, if
Throat?
you're gonna go after it with a credit card, you go after a soft portion,
Okay.
meaning you go after the eyes.
Mhm.
Okay, you go in towards the throat,
Okay.
because if you can get anything in,
Oh,
it's stiff enough.
yeah. It's not going to bend.
I'm a firm believer on going for the throat, because even if you only hit it a little bit, it's going to take them about 2 minutes to start breathing again.
Or take the any corner of the credit card and you use this as a slashing device or tool down the face. So right here, that's going to, with enough pressure, and I'm pointing it in, I'm going to do some damage. This is going to become like just a tool, like a knife. It's that sharp, and could be if I apply force to it. So I rake down his face, whatever, into the eyes, like Mark said, into the throat. We have these on us all the time.
One last thing that we didn't get to cover that I wanted to cover is, if you go out for entertainment, or really any time you're out of your hotel room, don't carry all your cash and credit cards in your wallet or purse. Spread them around your body. Okay, meaning, put put $20 or $40 in the bottom of your shoe. Okay, where this we picked this up, and this is what they call a running belt, and it's elastic, and it's meant for people that are running to have pockets, and that, but this thing has pockets that you can keep your money in, your wallet in, your identification in, whatever, and it's close enough to your body. You put loose clothing over it, nobody's going to know it's there.
It's very comfortable, and ladies, it's kind of like Spanx in a way. So just saying it is, you'll
So,
love it for money reasons.
so we have a question from Maureen, and she heard about people putting some sort of a solution on car handles. When you touch the solution, it incapacitates you. Have you guys
Oh,
heard of this?
No.
no, we sure haven't. In drinks, yes, but not on car handles. That's interesting. Is
Yeah,
that domestically?
I've never heard of that ever happening again.
No.
It's generally, I'm sure that they'll come up with something,
Yeah.
So
but
there's always a million things, right, Mark, that people are coming up with. But Katie made a point, and you covered this in the class. The hydro flask type of water bottles could do some damage as a
Oh,
weapon.
yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
you did mention that when we were in the class. So let me just scroll through here and
Sure.
see if we have any additional questions that are coming in. So I will send out a recap. I actually have a full outline of the presentation that Keri and
Thank you.
Mark provided to us. So when we send out the follow-up email, we'll include that attachment uh, for you guys, which talks about all of the key points of preparedness, awareness, risk reduction. It is broken down in the US and overseas. It includes nightlife and entertainment. Some of these improvised weapons that we've talked about, mindset, and knowing before you go. So those will be key elements in the overview. Also, I'll include their contact information. And I also would like to encourage everybody to check with your local sheriff's department and see if they have a course in your area. It was about 3 or 4 hours out of our Saturday. It was well worth it. I learned a lot of tactical moves, but let's see. Farron Kilpatrick said, can we do another webinar part 2? That is our goal. Our goal would be to have us set up at the sheriff's department. They do have a room, and we'll need to gather some of the equipment so we could go into some of the tactical pieces and maybe focus on one aspect so that we can build on this series. But just remember, there are so many things that we just take for granted in our everyday life. And as a mom to a teenage girl who now has a little more freedom in her life,
Boy.
I just feel this is such an important reminder for us. And we will, yes, Neil, after the holidays for sure, especially because I'm going to tell you right now, after this weekend, I'm going to sleep for several days because, as I mentioned, we have, well, I can't because we have to do the member onboarding calls and the demos, but in between, I might be taking a little snooze. So we have lots of great comments. Everybody, is saying yes, a webinar 2. I'm going to let you guys wrap it up with some final words that you guys want to say.
We just want to say thank you again for the opportunity. Again, some of it might have seemed like common sense, but again, we're so committed to people's safety. And again, you're your best defense. We're passionate. We want to make sure that you learn something today. And even if you thought, oh, okay, pass it along, share it. Again, we're here to help each other. We have the options. We just need to think about what those options are and not panic and freeze.
Also, if you're interested more in the physical, and check around your town to see if anybody like local martial arts or whatever. And the one thing I want to tell you, don't say, well, I'm too old.
No.
I didn't start martial arts until I was 47 years old.
And I didn't start till I was 49, so it's possible.
So you're never too old.
No.
In fact, when I went for my black belt test, I had a woman that was 68 years old going for her black belt test.
Wow.
So
That's
there is no age
Nope.
that you can. And if you have a type of disability, you'll learn how to turn it into an asset.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's not about strength. It's about technique. I don't care how small you are, how large you are, slow, fast, in between. Everybody can protect themselves.
All right.
That's it. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time today. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Thank you again to Mark and Keri. I know you guys put so much into this over the last couple of months. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for being here today. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right, bye.